Alright, so I know I'm a few days late on talking about the Etheria Restart Final Test Direct, but there was a ton of really cool information about the game that was talked about there, which I'm going to be covering in the coming, couple weeks, as well as while the final test is open. But hopefully I'll have a good amount of playtime in there to be able to provide some extra content for you all. But I wanted to take the time today to talk about the gacha system, because I think it is one of, if not the best gacha system that I have seen in a gacha game. So we're gonna go over all of the info we have on it so far, and all the info I have, I'm gonna credit it both to the final test direct as well as what Pridewind has documented from also previous betas. So we're gonna go over all of that today here. So firstly, I want to talk about the basics for the summon system. Now, one main difference that Etheria Restart has from a lot of the major games, the Hoyo games and Wuthering Waves, is that the gacha banners are only for the characters. There are the shell things, which do act as weapons for characters, but those are fully grindable in the game, meaning that you don't have to pull for shells at all, which I think is really cool, so that you only have to focus your summoning materials into pulling for characters. So the main summon currency are Hydra crystals, similar to your Stellar Jades in Honkai Star Rail or your Polychromes in Zenless Zone Zero. And there are going to be two different type of summon tickets, rather than it being a standard banner ticket versus a limited banner ticket. It's going to be an anima prototype ticket, which are for characters of the red, blue, and green elements, and then there is the apex prototype tickets for characters of the dark and light elements there, which is interesting that they're splitting them between different types of banners. But overall, I do think that it is pretty cool that we're only summoning for characters with these, and it is important to keep in mind as well in terms of getting the summon tickets here. For the anima prototype, it is 100 Hydra crystals to get one anima prototype, but for the apex prototypes, it costs 300 of the Hydra crystals. So it is going to be a bit more expensive to get those, but there are also other ways of getting the dark and light characters. Well, there's one other way that is a little cheaper, but we'll get into that when we talk about all the different types of banners here. So the first banner that I want to talk about is the directed summon, also known as a beginner banner. So this one only uses anima prototypes, and in this beginner banner, you can guarantee yourself an SSR character within 40 pulls, which is super nice, a bit more generous than the Hoyo beginner banners, because those are within 50. Plus, with this one, you can actually select which SSR you're going to get, which is really cool because it does give you the opportunity to look into the characters first, see which one you think is going to be either the best or the most enjoyable for you, and then you can select them and guarantee them within 40 pulls. You also can only do 10 pulls on this banner, you can't do single pulls, so it's something to kind of keep in mind, but it is nice to be able to guarantee yourself a certain character. As of the last closed beta tests from what Pridewind has, there were 12 different SSR characters in the pool. Not sure if this will change between now and the, in the beta and then the final test and the actual release, but we'll have to see what they do for that. Then next up, we have the two standard banners. So the first one is the permanent summon, and the permanent summon banner uses the anima prototype tickets. So this banner here, unlike with the mainstream gacha games, every single character that has come out is on this banner, and every future character post game launch will also be added to this banner as they come out, which is super cool, to where you don't have to wait forever to have the chance of getting a character. Even if you miss them on the rate up banner, you still have a obviously small chance to get them on the permanent banner here, which is super nice. And on the permanent summon, you do have an 80 pull guarantee for an SSR, and you do begin soft pity at 50 pulls. And if you're not sure what soft pity is, soft pity basically just means that once you get to the 50th pull, your chance of getting an SSR is going to slightly increase with every pull you do, until you get to that 80th pull. If you still haven't pulled one yet, then you're going to get a guaranteed SSR. And the base SSR rate is actually at 1%, And while this banner uses the anima prototype, it actually has all of the elemental characters on it, so you can also get dark and light characters. But when you pull an SSR, you have a 75% chance for a red, blue, or green character, and only a 25% chance for a light or dark element character. So they are a lot less common to get on the banner, but you do still have that chance to get them, which I think is nice for people who just want to try to get as many characters as possible. Then the other type of standard banner is the extra affinity summon, and this summon uses the Apex prototype, so a bit more expensive to go on these, but that's because it's specifically for the light and dark characters. And this, in terms of the guarantee for the guaranteed SSR, it works the exact same way as the anima prototype permanent summon, where you're going to have an 80 pull guarantee with a 50 pull soft pity, and the same SSR rate as well at 1%. So you do have the same kind of rates there, but for the extra affinity summon, you're only able to get those light and dark characters. And then for the final type of banner, it is going to be the raid up banners. And there are two types of banners, of course, same as the same as before, where one of them is for the anima prototype, where you're going to be able to get your red, blue, and green characters, and the Apex prototype banner, where you're going to have light and dark characters. Now, I don't know if there's always going to be one anima banner and one Apex banner running at the same time, or if they're going to flip-flop, depending on what character comes out. We'll have to see what they do as the game comes out and what they end up having for like character release schedules. Because with the amount of characters in Etheria Restart, I don't think they're going to run on a similar release schedule as the mainstream games, like the 6-week update cycle, but we'll have to see what they end up doing. In terms of the rates on these banners, there's going to be a 1% rate for the SSRs and a 9% rate for SRs. Now, depending on if you're going to pull a featured SR or a non-featured SR, you are going to have a split chance for that. So 4.5% for the SR you got to be featured, which I believe might be one of 3, or if they are going to add more, since it's going to be overall more characters in this game than your average like Hoyo or Kuro game. And you also have a 4.5% chance of getting a non-featured one, so any other SR in the game, which is solid overall. So 10% chance of you getting something. And from what I hear, the SRs do have value, especially for like early and mid game, so that is also a pretty solid thing to have. And the biggest piece of information about the raid up banners, which I think is really going to set this gacha system apart, is that you have a guaranteed SSR within 100 pulls, and there is no 50-50. I know all of us who have played Hoyo games, if you played Wuthering Waves, you know about that 50-50. You're trying to get that character you've been saving up for, and once you finally see that animation that you're going to get a limited character, all of a sudden you lose that 50-50 and you got to go to hard pity all over again. I've been there so many times, and knowing that this game, if I want a character, all I need is 100 pulls maximum, and I don't have to pull for a weapon, I don't have to pull for anything else but the one character themselves, that is really good. The only drawback, which I don't think is really that big of a deal in comparison to not having a 50-50, is that these raid up banners also do not have soft pity. Which, yeah, I think it's fine that it's not soft pity, because you can still make sure that, oh, if there's a character I want that's coming out, I just need to make sure I have 100 pulls. If I have 100 pulls, I know I can get them for sure. So those are all the banner types there. I am really excited to actually get my hands on the game to see how this feels in terms of what they are going to give us in terms of summon currency as a free-to-play. I definitely do want to try to be free-to-play towards the beginning for the most part, to see how much they give us material-wise and resource-wise, not only for summons, but also for building characters and just like overall progression. But I'm going to cover that more as the final test is out and when the actual game releases. But I would love to hear what you all think about the gacha system and just anything you want to say about Etheria Restart as well in the comments down below. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed and want to see more content from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm definitely really excited about Etheria Restart, so you are going to see some more videos on it. But with that, everyone, I will see you all next time.